My grandmother was pretty amazing. Um, I mean, just imagining a young girl at the time that she came in the 20s, 14, getting on the ship, this huge ship, right? That's the way you would commute back then. Landing in this country, Cuba, although they spoke the same language, a little bit different. And really starting her life and actually working as a maid, cleaning clothes, and having this dream of having her own little business. She actually started a little coffee shop, espresso. And then she built it into more of a bar, and then she had some dancing, and then they used to be called the Trumpy Bar, which actually in Havana, Lauten, it was in the suburbs of Havana, was pretty famous, so I understand. And she encouraged her kids, even though all her children she encouraged and had them in private schools, even though the money wasn't flowing, let's say. And I think my father would tell me he only had one uniform. So he had a hole in it and he had to sew it. And he felt so embarrassed that he was going to school with these kids who were rich and he only had one pant with the hole in it that had the mend in it. But she basically built this family who were always very together. With my uncle and his kids, his wife, and she held everything. She was such a strong woman who got things done. She would remember tell my grandfather to do certain things, and it was just amazing to me as a little kid looking at her, and I'm like, wow, she's just so great and so strong. I want to be that strong. And she helped out a lot, and even our departure from Cuba, she was key in that role. Because she had various connections, she actually managed to that we were able to get all the documentations and get support also from friends we had in the United States, and actually were able to fly out of Cuba, although it was a very difficult situation because they called us, we were political refugees, so we were called in Cuban terms gusanos, worms, and they would shout at us and throw things at us as we were leaving, and yeah. So my grandmother actually couldn't come with us directly to the States, but because she was still a Spanish citizen, she actually left and went to Spain with my grandfather, and then they eventually came to the States. But it was her base and her build that her children, my father, and my uncle built a business, and then unfortunately was lost when Castro took over and communism basically ripped them of everything they had worked for. And I saw that when I saw my grandmother back in the States, I saw how that impacted her and how it actually hurt her tremendously. And I didn't see her, maybe because I was older, as that big, strong woman. But when you would talk to her, even though she had gotten older, she was still pretty tough. And she still ran the show.